Hey guys, it's Fook, and today I'm going to show you how I edit my beach sunset photos to go from this to something like this. And I'm not saying that this is going to be your style, but maybe I'll give you some ideas on how to edit your photos. So when I was out at the beach, and this happens to be in La Jolla, California, and it's an area of the beach that's called Wind and Sea Beach. You recognize it. Anyway, and this was on my Olympus EM5 Mark II. Um, it was a lot more orange and warm, and it was just minutes before the sunset. So the colors were a lot warmer than this. Um, but this is what the auto white balance exposed for in the camera. So I'm going to tweak it to make it look more like what I saw with my eyes. And it's a bit exaggerated, but uh, you get the idea. So hopefully what you can do is take some of these tips and apply to your own beach sunset photos. And it actually doesn't have to be a beach sunset photo. It could be any sunset photo. So let's get started. So this is my original. I'm going to make another copy and we'll work with that. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just enable the lens profile correction. And this was shot on my 7 to 14 millimeter f2.8 Olympus Pro lens. And then going back to the top here, I'm just going to take the highlights down just a tad and bring the shadows out a bit. I don't want it to be something like this. That's a bit too much. So, you gotta eyeball it, but somewhere around right here. And then I'm gonna tweak my white balance, and I don't want to clip anything. And then the same with my blacks. So just barely nudge it. Okay, so that's the basic adjustment. Next is the contrast. I'm going to put a medium contrast curve on there. Okay. And then this section is actually where the magic happens. So it's all. So what I want to do is I want to bring some orange into the highlights because that's the orange color from the sunset. So I'm going to click this and basically just pick an orange color. So you can go way up, and the higher you go in the graph, uh, the more saturated the color. Left to right basically is just picking the different hue values. So this is your hue and this is your saturation. Okay. So clearly I don't want those colors. Um, and it's more, along the lines of but not quite that dramatic. So I'm going to dial that down just a tad. Something like this. That looks pretty good. And then everything that's in the shadows, I'm going to do the same, except now I'm going to pick a different color. It's going to be more like a bluish tinge, but I'm not going to do, like a very high saturation. I'm going to pull it down just a bit. If any of you guys edit videos or color grade your videos, you'll know that this is very similar to that orange teal look that's popular, but it works really well for sunset photos. Of course, you can tweak these as you see fit. You can also change the balance um, to whatever suits your taste. I usually leave it not too much above 0. Something like that is pretty good. Okay. Um, I don't need to increase sharpness. This is on a tripod, and it was shot at low ISO, so not a whole lot of noise there. Next step, I'm going to go and just add a bit of vignette, so maybe something like -10, just to give it a little bit of a dramatic flair. Okay. I'm going to darken the sky a little bit, just because I want to bring a bit more of the orange in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a graduate, and maybe set that to, -20, 0.20, and even a little warmer still from what it is now. And then just basically click it and drag it. And when you like the look, you're good to go. Um, I'm just going to see if it's going to make more sense to go a little brighter. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and then I can close that. And then I want to highlight some areas in the filter, so that's this tool right here. And basically what I'm going to do is that for anything that's catching the light, I'm going to boost it a little bit more and make it a bit warmer to accentuate it even more. So right now I can see that the sun is shining right on this area right here. It's catching a little bit right here, illuminating this rock, right? So what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to highlight the lit areas, I'm going to bump the exposure up a bit. I don't need clarity to be that high. I'm just double clicking on the and for my temperature, I think this is probably about alright. So let me try it and see what happens. So here's my first one, and I can move it right about there, make a new one for this area right here. A little bit longer, fatter oval, like that puppy here. And maybe this one we don't have to be as bright. That's a bit further from the sun, so I'm going to take that down to maybe 0.2, something like that. One more for this big area, this rock that's being lit. And let's just try leaving it at 0.38, 0.4 and seeing how it looks. Okay, that's not bad. I want to rotate it just a tad. There we go. And maybe I even bring this up just a bit more. That's too much. Okay. And I'm done with my brushes. I may want to, this is dark enough so I don't have to add anything to that. So I think I'm pretty good with that. Let's go ahead and add a bit of vibrance to this, and then a bit of saturation too. Vibrance, I'm sorry, I can't say that damn word. And now I'm looking at it, and I think that the overall image is just a tad dark. So I'm going to bump up that exposure, but not too much. Something like that. And again, this is all to your taste. But this is a lot closer to what I remember seeing with my own eyes. Clearly, you know, it's a photo is not necessarily a representation of reality, but it's supposed to evoke a feeling. So this is the feeling that I got. That's basically all the edits. You can play around with it some more if you like, but really the magic for these type of photos is in the split toning. The lit area, the highlights with a color that matches what you saw. So in this case, we wanted to do orange, and then in the shadows we'll do something a bit cooler like a blue, and kind of bump that saturation down. These here don't really bother me. So let's do a before and after and see what we have. So here we are before, kind of boring, and here we are after. And you know, you can do some other tweaks to this. I had it on a tripod. It's fairly level, but you can adjust it. And if you don't know this trick, you can go into your crop tool, hold down the command key on a Mac, and I think it's control on a PC, and you basically just draw your horizon line, and then you can see the angle adjust automatically. Framing, I can bring more sky into it, or I can bring more of the sand. So I think somewhere in the middle is pretty nice. Okay, that's basically it. So I hope you enjoyed that tip. You can do this really quick if you are used to it. You can just pop in, make your basic adjustments to highlights and shadows, your white and black points, and then set the contrast to how you like it. And then again, the magic is in the split toning. And then the little things I do with the brushes and the gradiated filter, that's just the taste. But hope you enjoy, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up.